Good morning. This is Carolyn Jones. I am going to be discussing Competency 2C. Candidates will understand the diversity within the English language learner population and the impact of immigration status, socioeconomic status, race, religion, class, national origin, disability, and gender on student learning. Along with Competency 2G, candidates are able to articulate the benefits of and need for an additive prescriptive of language and culture that supports multicultural identity development. So today we read two articles. We read the first article about flipping our scripts about undocumented immigration. I want to start by saying that I am not huge into the politics. I don't follow it. I don't investigate it, which is bad of me. But I also, some points that stuck out for me with this was that I wonder what happened with my family when they came into the United States. Did they just walk in because they were white? Also, I know many of my great uncles were in the military, so were they automatically given their citizenship because of that? To think that 60 years ago, which was just in 1965, that there were policies about open immigration and then including people of color. So there was policies put into place where we always felt like this was a melting pot, this was open, but there were policies put into place around people of color. And then that 40 years ago, the year before I was born, Mexico had a quota of how many people that they were allowed to immigrate into the United States. I believe one of the things that stuck out to me in this article is it was talking about the trauma of both of her parents, her dad coming in, and then her mom being a refugee. And I think that is one of the takeaways for me is the childhood trauma, especially now in the last couple of years with ICE, is that our children, our kids are witnessing things that they should never be witnessing. And what is the trauma that is affecting them? And even when and if the families are reunited here within the US or in their native countries, the trauma that has happened to the adults, but then the children that they have to, what did they see when their parents were taken away? Was it by force? Was it under the influence of a gun? Were they sheltered? Was it a poor environment that they were sheltered in, away from their families, away from their siblings? And then it talked about the undocumented, that many of the undocumented hide their status because they're embarrassed by it. They are taken advantage of and underpaid in labor, but yet that they also contribute to the taxes that we all pay, Social Security. They contribute to the community that they live in and the schools that their children attend. This was, on a personal note, this hit home for me with a student that also became a close friend of my son's. Amy was a student at Ochoa with me for many years. And then once they went on to high school, Amy and her boyfriend and my son, they all hung out in the same crowd. Well, Amy was an undocumented student. She knew what she wanted to know. She knew she wanted to go to college. She worked hard during high school. And actually should have graduated as a junior. She made the decision her senior year to go back to Mexico before she turned 18 so that she could get the legal paperwork and the legal documents to become a US citizen. So she left us She went back with the understanding with the school district. She did a distance learning thing, and she did the last couple of things that she had to do for her senior year, and plan was to come back and graduate with us. So she left, I want to say Thanksgiving-ish, maybe even closer to Christmas. But she left us and went back. She did her paperwork. She did everything the legal way. She was getting ready to return home around spring break, and things got put on hold. So she was put on hold. She was sad. But you know, things happen. Paperwork continued. She finally got the paperwork, finally got confirmation, and she was set to fly out the week before graduation, put on hold again. Many of us, the school, her counselor, everyone was trying to figure out how to get her back for graduation so she could graduate with the kids that she grew up with since kindergarten, the kids that she went to school with, the kids that she played in the streets with. Everyone would be able to celebrate together. Day before, 2 days before graduation, she gets on a plane. Something happened. She was stuck in Denver. She got stuck in Denver the night before graduation and was not able to get out until 11 o'clock the next Saturday morning. Graduation was at 10 a.m. So Amy, after doing the right thing, doing everything correctly, trying to get her status for citizenship, missed the important thing that she was trying to do. So this hit home for me. Amy has always been a part of my life, continues to be a part of my life at 24 years old. But it just hit me how many of our students, how many more people deal with this. The next article we talked about was the legal protections for K-12 English learners and immigrant background students. In this article, there was lots of things that I already knew because of my position and the department that I work with in the testing department and registration. So there was lots of things that I already knew, but there was also some things that popped out to me. The federal government does require that everyone, all students, have equal access to education. They have supplemental funding for students at risk of failure. They support the educational research and development and improve educational programs. One of the things that hit home for me was when I was talking about FERPA, ICE, and the SROs. SROs have always been in the schools for as long as I can remember. Even when I was in high school, we had the SROs in high school, but it was more along the lines with the DARE program. When I started at Ochoa, we did have an SRO, but he was laid back. He wasn't in the forefront. He wasn't active with the kids. He wasn't active, kind of came in, sat in his office and left. Well, the next couple of years that I was at Ochoa, we got a different SRO, and he became very active and very visual in our schools. And I think some of our parents really were scared at that point. They weren't sure if they could come onto school grounds because there was a police officer there. They were afraid of being arrested. They were afraid of who else was there. So we had to work hard with our parents, understanding and then getting a trust with that. Now our SROs the last couple of years have huge influence on our kids, have huge influence working with our families and being out in the communities and just being active, including the current SRO that actually comes to many after school activities and is there with the kids and the families. Some of the other things that popped out to me that I need to investigate more is the 10 obligations that the state and the school districts have to the EL students. I want to make sure that that is in the forefront, that our teachers, our staff members know what that is and how they can affect it. One of the questions I do have from this article is it talked about improving educational programs, but nowhere did they discuss what types of programs. And I think that's one of the things that schools actually do a lot of, and it's not the best thing, is there's research that comes out on a program and we jump ship. We go to the next program and we try to see if that works. Did it work? Do we keep on doing it? No. Okay, another thing comes out. Okay, let's try this. Currently, I'm excited with the programs that we are doing at Ochoa. We are using Avid Excel, and we're just working on making sure that we have more sections available for our bilingual students, and then making sure that we always look at the data. So making sure that we assess, re-evaluate, assess, and look at the data. So yeah, those are the things that I think that I took out of these two articles. And like I said, I want to do some more research on this last article just because of the position that I'm in and the department that I work with for the school districts. Thank you.